Shalom. In the New York Times Magazine Ideas of the Year issue from the beginning of December, another article that caught my attention was about the appendix. Now, most people have always thought in modern science that the appendix is a useless, shriveled organ, as the paper said. This week, a girl was in the ocean and her appendix ruptured, and the Navy, the paper said, dramatically shipped her 500 miles to save her life. So why would God make an organ that's completely useless? Maybe it's ancient times it had some function. Well, just this year, it turns out, doctors finally figured out that the appendix was not a useless, shriveled organ. It actually served a very useful function. It was, in computer terms, the reboot system. It stored healthy bacteria so that when our stomach got all messed up and unhealthy and diseased, this is where the healthy bacteria was stored so we could reboot our stomach to have the kind of bacteria we needed. Fascinating. Now, I'm not a doctor, so what does that have to do with Judaism and rabbinic reflections? It has to do this. Ask yourself, in the last 100 years, how many what were considered to be useless, shriveled Jewish traditions, laws, and rituals were tossed out, only now to be recovered. When I think about the Reform movement 200 years ago, which began in the beginning of the 19th century, and they got rid of like every ritual thing. There was no concept of mitzvah, kashrut, Zionism, belief in the world to come, resurrection. And now they're talking about kashrut again. They're talking about mitzvah again. Their new Siddur revises the prayer Mechayeh HaMeitim, revival of the dead. Hebrew language is back. They got rid of bar mitzvah for a while. It's back. So much of the basic rituals and laws and traditions of Judaism, which were chucked by American Jews, are now coming back. Recent survey out this week, and this is the middle of December 2007, says that young Reform Jews are keeping kosher way more percentage-wise than older Reform Jews. Not so much out of a sense of halakha, but the normative practice of Jewish people. And so you got to be very careful before you discard rituals, even if they don't seem to make sense at the time, because maybe you reinterpret them, or maybe you'll find out soon that they actually mean a lot. Now, it doesn't mean that all rituals that we started with we still have. There are many. Judaism's changed a lot, as everything else has. But I think it's a very interesting lesson about be careful of the traditions handed to you by your ancestors, which is a line from the Talmud, that give a benefit of the doubt to tradition, to the wisdom of the people that went before us, before we assume that it's useless and shriveled and should be chucked. I think that's a very interesting metaphor to use the appendix for, because it's possibly the reboot system to make Judaism resurgent. Shalom.